Good evening. This is the Anchorage Municipality Platting Board. It is February 7th at 6:30 p.m. May we have roll call?
Dan Young.
Present.
Clayton Walker.
Present.
Christina Enix.
Present.
Don Porter.
Present.
Kevin Cross.
Present.
Mark Seward.
Present.
Valerie Ritz.
Present.
Jenna Welton.
Present.
Becky Lipson.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. And first order of business is action summaries. We have action summary from Wednesday, January 3rd, 2018. May I have a motion to approve the action summary? Dan Young has moved, and is there a second? Valerie Ritz is seconded. Is there anyone opposed to approving the action summary? Seeing no opposition, the motion passes. Next, we will turn to the minutes. We have minutes from Wednesday, January 3rd, 2018. May I have a motion to approve the minutes? Okay. And Kevin Cross has moved, and Don Porter seconds. Are there any amendments or corrections proposed to the minutes?
Yes, I have a movement to make an adjustment to the minutes.
Okay.
On page 6 of 9, two-thirds of the way down, Board Member Cross, that first statement in that paragraph, I want to give clarification. I misspoke on the linear square feet, so I want to make sure I clarify my intention with that sentence.
Thank you.
Currently, it reads, I noted that this is just a variance from a cul-de-sac reducing the requirement from 86 square feet down to 900 feet. If my intention was for it to read, the variance from the 900-foot cul-de-sac regulation is only 86 feet, is only reduced by 86 feet. I didn't mean square feet, so I want to make sure that's clarified.
Thank you. Is there any opposition? Does he need a second? Yeah. Are there any other corrections that are being proposed to the minutes? Seeing none, is there any opposition to accepting the minutes as corrected? In that case, the motion passes. We'll now take up disclosures. Becky Lipson.
Thank you. I abstained from voting on the minutes and action summaries related to S12388 as I was recused from that matter pursuant to a previous disclosure.
Thank you. The record shall reflect that. I think the record should also reflect that Dan Young intended to abstain from that as well, for the same reason. Jenna Welton.
I would like to request that I be recuse myself from case number S12393. I represent one of the main developers in this development that's going to be happening, and I would like to abstain from this issue.
May I have a motion directing Jenna Wilson to abstain from case S12383? To direct her not to participate. Okay. Kevin Cross.
Do I vote for her to? Let me clarify. Do I vote for her to participate and then vote against it? Yes.
Yeah, you're supposed to make the motion.
I make a motion that Ms. Wilson participate.
Thank you.
In case number, forgive me. Oh, thank you. S12393.
Thank you. And do we have a second for that motion? Valerie Ritz seconded the motion. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes. Since Ms. Wilson has a direct financial interest, I will not be supporting my motion.
Thank you. Are there any other comments on that? Seeing none, we will now call the vote. Ms. Janet Welton, you are directed to not participate in case S12393. Are there any other disclosures this evening? Dan Young.
Yes, through the chair. In the case of S12393, the Tudor Elmore Development Subdivision, my firm has had business dealings with the petitioner and the petitioner's representative on other matters. I am a former employee of the petitioner's representative. I have no financial or personal interest in the matters before the board. I can remain impartial in fact and action as a member of this board without personal bias. My past involvement and personal interest will not prevent me from fairly evaluating the facts of this case.
Thank you. May I have a motion directing Dan Young to participate in case S12393? Don Porter, would you please state your motion?
I move to direct Dan Young to participate in case S12, sorry. S12393. He has indicated that he has no financial or personal interest, and he can remain impartial, and his past involvement won't prevent him from fairly evaluating the facts. So I intend to support this motion.
Thank you. Is there, we'll go ahead and call the vote on that. And Dan Young, you're directed to participate in case S12393. Are there any other disclosures? Seeing none, we'll next move on to special order of business, informational items. We have any abbreviated plat action summary from January 8th, 2018. We have a motion to approve the, I guess, that's just an informational item and it's logged in the minutes. We'll next move to the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Kevin Cross moves to approve the consent agenda. Don Porter seconds. Does anyone wish to withdraw anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and call the vote. Yeah, he abstained. You go ahead and hit recuse if you want, or if she took it. It's okay, same difference. Okay. And that motion has passed. F. We'll now take up the matter of case S12383, Alderwood subdivision, and that is being postponed indefinitely. May I have a motion to approve the postponement? Kevin Cross has moved and Valerie Ritz is second. Kevin, would you like to state your motion?
Yes, in regards to case S12383, move to extend indefinitely.
Postpone?
Postpone, excuse me.
Thank you.
I apologize. Thank you.
And that motion's been seconded by Valerie Ritz. Would you like to speak to your motion?
No.
Okay.
It's pretty, sums it up pretty sweet, so.
Okay. In that case, I'll call the vote unless there's anyone else wishing to speak. Nope. And that motion has passed. We'll now move to case S12390, Romeg Park subdivision. We have a motion to postpone until March 7th, 2018. Dan Young, would you please state your motion?
Through the chair, in the case of S12390, I move to postpone this case indefinitely.
No, just to March 7th.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you. I amend my motion to March 7th.
Thank you. And Don Porter has seconded that motion. Would you like to speak to your motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is there any opposition to the motion? Seeing no opposition, the motion passes. We will now take up case S12393. That's the Municipal Tudor Roads Complex subdivision. The procedure by which the public may speak to the Platting Board at this meeting is, after staff's presentation is complete on the public item, I will ask for public testimony on the issue. People wishing to testify will follow the time limits established in the Commission's rules of procedure. The petitioner is allowed to go first. They have 10 minutes, and they may reserve part of their time for rebuttal. Representatives of the groups, community councils, and PTAs are given 5 minutes, and then individuals are given 3 minutes. When your testimony is complete, the board may ask you some questions, and you may be allowed to speak on additional items. You may only testify once on an issue unless questioned further by the board. Any individual may have appeal rights related to any action this Platting Board takes. An appeal of a decision of any of the conditions is governed by Anchorage Municipal Code 2111-304. The decision of the board at the scheduled public hearing shall become final 7 calendar days after the date the decision is made on the record, unless a written request is submitted to the Planning Division prior to the expiration of the 7th day. To prepare a written decision based on the record made at the hearing, and the request is accompanied by a written notice of intent to appeal. Adoption of the written decision by the Platting Board becomes the final appealable decision. Within 20 days of the final appealable decision, an interested party must file with the municipal clerk either a written motion alleging new evidence or changed circumstances pursuant to Anchorage Municipal Code 2111-503, or an appeal of our final appealable decision per AMC 2130. At this time, we will ask Board Member Welton to recuse herself from this portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
May we have staff's presentation on this matter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a request for the subdivision of one tract of land into 4 tracts of land. That's tract 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D. A little bit of background history right now. There's Monday night there was a companion case through the Planning and Zoning Commission to rezone the proposed tract 1B, 1C, and 1D from PLI district to the B3 general business with special limitations. That passed through Planning and Zoning and moves on to the Assembly. Tract 1D is proposed to be the new location of the Department of Health and Human Services building it's going to currently from its current location at 825 L Street. Tract 1C and 1B will be used for future mixed-use development that may include housing, commercial, and office uses. And Tract 1A will remain as the people mover public transit facility. So this plat here is integral to a larger puzzle with a bunch of moving pieces. But right now the focus is just these 4 tracts. The proposed tracks meet the minimum lot size and width as required by the PLI NB3 zoning districts. Watershed Management Services has requested a plat note regarding storm drain easements and maintenance agreements, those of which will be captured at the time of development. So we've made that a condition of approval. One thing you'll notice in the comments and in the narrative is the Municipal Traffic Engineer and Alaska Department of Transportation have had some concerns for access to their respective roads, which is East Tudor Road and Elmore Road. Late last week, we had a meeting with the Municipal Traffic Engineer and the Real Estate Services and the petitioner. As noted on the plat that you guys have, there's they're requesting a perimeter road that's going to connect East Tudor to Dr. Martin Luther King Avenue. We do have a 60-foot right-of-way dedication along the western boundary of the subdivision, and that's going to connect into a public use easement that will be dedicated by document after the alignment is worked out between the Municipal Traffic Engineer and Real Estate Services. This will all be prior to final plat approval. They're also requesting an east-west road or public use easement aligning with East 46th Avenue and a future approved access from Elmore Road. Like I said, there's a lot of future alignment regarding how the development and site plan is going to work out. Right now, it's just the plat action with the divided up into tracks. Access to Elmore Road will be limited to the existing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue intersection and one additional access point. The ADOT meeting that they've requested for more site information will happen fairly shortly. It may be limited to the existing access or one additional access point, that which will be resolved with ADOT. There is some road improvements and dedication. Like I mentioned, the preliminary plat dedicates the 60 feet of right-of-way running north-south along the western boundary, and that will connect to that access provided by the 60-foot PUE to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. Staff is requesting that that exact location be resolved with MOA traffic in the planning department. The petitioner is required to enter into a subdivision agreement with private development for the required public Class A improvements internal to that subdivision. Staff is requesting a 15 feet of right-of-way to be dedicated along the northern boundary of Tract 1B, 1C, and 1D. The official streets and highway plan classifies East Tudor Road as a Class 3A major arterial with a minimum right-of-way width of 130 feet. So this will satisfy that requirement. The preliminary plat appears to generally conform to the goals and policies of the UMED District Plan and the Anchorage 2440 Land Use Plan, which was recently adopted, and it identifies the area as town center. The Planning Department recommends conditions 1 through 8, found on page 13 and 14 of the staff packet. And as I've stated before, this preliminary plat approval is one puzzle piece in the larger grand scheme of the site development and rezoning that's happening concurrently. So we're just changing the lines in the dirt on this plat. The petitioner and representative are here if you have any extra questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for staff at this time? Seeing none, may we have the petitioner's representative?
Hello, my name is Michelle McNulty with Dow. Also with me this evening is Robin Ward, representing the Municipality of Anchorage's Real Estate Services Department. Just to give a brief history on why this plat is necessary, the Real Estate Services had put out a RFP for a new Department of Health and Human Services building, so replacing the one that's currently downtown on L Street. 2 developers had put forth proposals, and each one had elements that were very much compatible with the community, but neither was the perfect solution. So the municipality asked those developers to come in and actually ask them to team up. And so the resulting project is that the DHHS building needs to be relocated. The existing building will be torn down and redeveloped with senior housing, One of the challenges is that the municipality doesn't have the cash to actually pay for the land and the development of the new building. So part of the land trade will include land, and those are the additional parcels that are being created. So that's going to be the tracts 1C and 1B. So this is kind of a puzzle piece in that we have to be able to plat the land so that Tract 1B can be conveyed to the developer so that they can start the development on that tract, which is going to help pay for the development of the Department of Health and Human Services building, which is going to be the first phase of the public development. And then that has to be constructed so that the people in the current DHHS building can relocate, so then the building on L Street can be torn down. So there's quite a bit of puzzle pieces. So this is just the first part of the puzzle, so that the lands, we can actually create the parcels, get the first one conveyed, which has presented some challenges as far as having a site plan, and that kind of goes to the access concerns that we've heard from DOT and the municipality of Anchorage. We have done a preliminary traffic impact analysis with the DOT for the Department of Health and Human Services building, as well as the first two buildings that will likely go with the first phase of the development on Tract 1C, and that will likely include a medical office and a hotel, as well as 3 retail pads in the future. We have approval for the location at Tract 1D, and then there's an existing easement that the Anchorage bus facility is using that goes east-west to exit the property, and that will be the east-west connection in the interim as we work out the further large master plan that will come following the conveyance of the land. We do recognize, so we will have no problem working that out with DOT. We definitely recognize the municipal traffic engineer's concerns about that east-west connection. One challenge that we see is there is a large tract of privately owned land that actually separates this tract that's being platted from where the current end of East 46 is. But we will work with the traffic department to figure out, a way that we do not preclude that connection in the future, but that also provides a nice chicane or something that also provides for traffic calming within these parcels. So other than that, we have read the comments from all the departments and the conditions of approval, and we have no objections to anything that's been put forward. I want to thank staff. They did work extra hard on this. I mean, I think they do on every case, but this one was a challenge for all just because of all the moving parts and the intricacy of the timing, and they put a lot of effort on this, so I want to thank them. Now I'd like to save the rest of my time for rebuttal.
Thank you. And you have 5 minutes and 55 seconds.
Okay.
At this point, do we have any questions for petitioner's representative? Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any members of the public wishing to speak? Anyone at all? It doesn't look like there's anyone from the public wishing to speak tonight. Are there any individuals that wish to speak? Seeing none, would you like to participate in rebuttal? Thank you. In that case, the matter now rests with the board. May I have a motion to approve the plat for 24 months, subject to conditions 1 through 8, A through D? Kevin Cross. Would you like to state your motion?
Yes, in regards to case S12393, I move to approve the plat for 24 months, subject to items 1 through 8 and 8A through E.
Thank you. Don Porter has seconded your motion. would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, I will be moving to approve this. It's been very well thought out. Most of the questions have been answered. Typically, although we have no comments from the public comments typically revolve around drainage, wildlife, easements, access, all of which have been resolved in department recommendations and covered under items 1 through 8. So, which stands to reason why they don't see any public testimony.
Thank you. Are there any other findings anyone would wish to offer? Daniel?
Yes, through the chairman. I would like to, in my findings, that there's an affidavit of posting on page 60, and there's photographs on page 61 through 63 of the posting. That was done appropriately. This, in the record, what we found is the preliminary plat appears to generally conform with the goals and policies of the UMed district and the Anchorage 2040 plan. The municipal Tudor Road complex is identified as a town center per the Anchorage 2040 land use plan. And on page 12, we found in our packet that the the proposed lots meet the minimum lot size and width as required by the PLI and the B3 zoning districts.
Thank you. I'd also like to add the findings that I think that this plan does promote the public health and safety and welfare, does seem to mitigate the incompatible uses in the area, and there is adequate plan to deal with the traffic issues. And at this point, we'll call the vote. And that motion has passed. Are there any other persons to be heard? Are there any reports? In that case, we'll now stand in adjournment. Time is 7 o'clock.